Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Stylish and Treasures. My name is Mary and I'm a full-time reseller on both eBay and Poshmark. Today I'm giving you a what sold video for my eBay sales. This is January 24th through January 31. So this is a total of, I believe, 9 days of sales and maybe an extra day in there. But because of it being the end of the month, I decided to go ahead and add that extra day in there. So these are all the sales that I made only on eBay. But if you are also a seller on both eBay and Poshmark, definitely check out my what sold video right after this to see everything that's sold on Poshmark as well. So if you're new to my channel, I do a lot of what sold videos, some hauls, some mystery unboxings, some how-to and tutorials. If you know content like this interests you, I would love to have you as a subscriber. So please consider liking this video as well as subscribing to my channel and then hitting the bell notification on the way out, so that way you'll see all the content when it is airing. So first off, sales are still low, but they are definitely picking up, which I think is very promising. And I think I've seen a lot of posts online as well where people are kind of seeing an increase in sales. So I think that's a great thing. Hopefully that will stay that way for the next few weeks. So we'll go ahead and get started. I do want to give a little bit of a background, as I always do on these videos, just so you kind of know going into the video what my cost of goods is, because that's important when it comes to these what sold videos. Yes, this item sold, however, if my cost of goods is really high, well, that didn't really, get that much of the profit, right? So I am top rated on eBay. I've been on eBay for 11 years now, so I pay approximately 13% in fees. I do promote all my items at 3%, and I do charge shipping on all of my sales. So that is important in knowing, because a lot of people don't sometimes charge shipping. So when they say something sold for $21.66, well, they didn't really get that because there's fees, and then on top of that they paid the shipping cost. And so I think it's kind of important to understand that the buyer definitely paid the shipping cost, and I do accept 30-day returns. However, they do have to pay the return shipping. Most of my items are sourced from the Goodwill bins, which is a pay per pound outlet. I do sometimes get, mystery boxes from ThredUp or some liquidation boxes. If that is the case in some of these sales, I will definitely let you guys know, because obviously the cost of goods is going to be a little bit higher per piece on some of those items. So we're going to go ahead and get started on what's sold on eBay. So the very first thing that you see is this Charter Club brand new with tags nightgown. This came from a Macy's liquidation box that I got of pajamas and robes and things like that. Some of the pieces were missing, like the sets and things like that. And then some of them were brand new with tags. Absolutely nothing wrong. They just never hit the shelves. This was one of those cases. This ended up selling for $18.84. And one thing I've mentioned in a lot of my haul videos, definitely be picking up as many as you can, brand new with tags, bras, socks, nightgowns, things like that, because these are kind of what I, in my opinion, consider a recession-proof thing. I mean, people are always going to need that. They may not always buy a brand new shirt, but they need some of those basic pieces. So the next thing you see is a men's Miami Dolphins, number 19, Reebok football jersey. This was a size 52, which was a really good size for a guy. I usually don't pick up a lot of sportswear, but when it's a bigger size and it's in really good condition and colorful like this, by all means, I'll pick it up at the bins. This sold for $25.15. The next thing you see is something I just recently got from one of my ThredUp women's mystery unboxing. boxes, definitely check out one of those videos. There was some pretty decent things in there. This was considered one of the, I guess, quote, luxury pieces that was in there. This is Christopher Fisher. It was 100% cashmere sweater. It didn't sell for a whole lot. I did have a couple spots that I had to get out, but it did sell very quickly at $19.22. The next thing you see is a vintage Lawrence Kazar. I pick this brand up all the time in these type of formal beaded and sequin tops, as well as the dresses and the jackets. They actually do usually pretty good for me. This one, however, didn't sell for as high as I usually get for them, but that's okay. It was picked up at the bins. This sold for $20. The next thing you see, which I try not to pick up too many blazers and jackets too much because they're very specific cuts, and sometimes people are a little bit, you know, leery of picking up those type of things. But I thought this was kind of different because this was a knit blazer, had a very kind of classic formal look. This brand, Sononi, I have picked this brand up quite a few times and actually usually does pretty good for me. This sold for $19.73. Next thing you see, which I thought was funny when I did this haul video, because Alfred Dunner is definitely considered a very mature brand. Kind of what we consider our grandmas. Maybe some of us, or even our mothers, would wear this type of brand because it is definitely geared towards mature women. This was definitely a project for me to see if I could get this brand to sell because it was actually a really pretty cardigan, right? And it did sell, believe it or not, for $19.96. Next thing you see is a brand called Funky People. This was kind of like a tunic sweater dress kind of. Had a really cool print. I've had this for a long time. I guess it was one of those prints that I thought was going to do well, and it just really kind of didn't. But it sold. So this sold for $10.52. Next thing you're going to see, I actually sourced probably 25 pairs of this jean from a local liquidation company here in Indianapolis called Big Dog Liquidators. I have been back there multiple times since this particular time I got all these jeans, and they have never since had good stuff since then. But I got all these jeans brand new with tags for $5, and I think this is the very last pair that sold. This ended up selling for $25.02. Next thing you see is a brand I pick up quite a few times at the bins. Usually they're used, but this one was brand new with tags. Life is Short. This was a tee. You know, it didn't have like the little cartoony type of print, that graphic print that it usually has, but still it was brand new, right? So this sold for $14.84. The next thing you see is one of those little bitty small things you find at the bins. It's kind of a brand, so I figured why not. I love to pick up wallets. They're super easy to list. This was a patent leather, really bright color blue. It practically looked brand new. I think it was brand new actually. And this ended up selling for $13.29. The next item that you're going to see is something that I always tell everyone to pick up, and that is cashmere, guys. Like, it's like an easy, quick sale in my opinion. This was brand new with tags. This was apartment 9, which actually I do pretty good. It was sold at Macy's. Cashmere sweater. This sold for $25.37. And the funny thing about cashmere, it is so lightweight. So you pay almost nothing at the bins, and the return on the investment tends to be pretty good. Next is a Tommy Bahama sundress. This was floral, kind of smocked in the mid area there. I started listing some in my spring stuff just because one day I figured, you know, it's snowing, it's cold. Why not list something you actually want to look at, right? And all these beautiful dresses I started listing, and some of them are selling surprisingly. So this sold for $18.48. This was another example that day of selling a spring and summer dress, and lo and behold, it sold already. This was a Betsy Johnson, kind of a knit mini dress, kind of had a cool bold stripe. This sold for $18.48. Next, you're going to see which I mentioned this in one of my recent hauls. A number of the people at the bins, I had to really watch my cart because they were trying to steal it. Which those of us that go to the bins, we know how the bin behavior is sometimes. It can be a little aggressive. But this is not Coogee. This is a brand called Brigatti, but it looked almost exactly like Coogee. This was definitely a vintage sweater, had this really cool 3D print, well, not print, but like a raised 3D knit. This sold immediately the same day for $35. Next thing you see is this Kookaburra by UGG, which is, I believe, like a diffusion line of UGG boots. This particular brand usually doesn't go for as much, and I'm also not picking up as many UGG boots anymore because I feel like it's just not a thing like it used to be. But these particular boots ended up selling for $33.99. Next is a vintage Liz Claiborne, kind of a crushed velvet bucket hat. It was like brown, very lightweight. I tend to pick up anything that's velvet when it comes to hats because, you know, people are looking for that classic look. This did not sell for much. It sold for $13, and this actually went over through the global shipping program. Next is a skin moisturizer lotion, Atopalm. I've actually sold probably over 100 of these. This came in a Target palette along with a bunch of other stuff probably 4 years ago, and I am still selling these. This sold for $10. Next thing you're going to see is a vintage metal coin belt. Kind of had that gypsy look. The coins that were on the belt were very detailed. I love picking up belts, especially vintage belts. Even the mesh and like the snake, what do you call it? Like, I think they're called like a snake scale type of design belt. Those always do pretty good for me. This ended up selling for $15. Next thing you see is a Cobby floral blouse. This had a floral design. I believe this was called the Heart of Cobby. Any of the newer tag Cobbies actually are doing really good for me. I had a total of, I think, 9 Cobby shirts that were all from the same person that donated them maybe a month ago, and almost all of them have sold now. So definitely consider picking up the newer tag. This sold for $24.39. Next thing you see is these Gap jeans. These were a wide leg. These were brand new with tags. Got these from the bins. I wasn't sure if wide leg was really in anymore, but you know, they were brand new, so why not? So I took a chance on these and they sold for $28.42. The next thing you're going to see, this was sourced from liquidation, from a Groupon liquidation box that I got of jewelry, which I've mentioned this so many times. Very, very expensive box. However, it has made profit at this point 4 times over. So definitely look, if you can ever find liquidation boxes of, you know, actually decent jewelry, consider picking that up. This was a lot of 2 of the 14 karat gold stud cubic zirconia earrings, sold for $17.10. Next thing you're going to see, this was sourced from one of my ThreadUp 15 handbag mystery boxes. Definitely check those videos out. Some of the purses actually are pretty good. And even when I picked, like this one, I was actually going to donate back because it was kind of scuffed, and lo and behold, I listed it and it sold. So this ended up selling for $20. Next thing you're going to see is something that's kind of outside the box that I personally pick up. I would suggest picking up if you can find them at the bins. And this is a brand called Curtain Call, the Weissman, any of those like costume, ballet, recitals, even like the little dresses people wear for like the pageants. People are looking for these type of things, guys. So definitely consider picking these up. This sold for $19.47. Next thing you see is a Vince Camuto dress. This is brand new with tags. This was sourced at the bins. This sold for $28.88. Vince Camuto is kind of an iffy brand now, guys. Like it's not cheap. You see, this was originally a $138 dress. However, the resale value is just really not there. So, but if you could pick them up at the bins, I would definitely suggest picking that brand up. Next is a brand I had never heard of. I think it's sold at Target, or at least it was at some point. It's called True and Company. It's like a triangle bra, seamless, brand new with tags. This was sourced at the bins. This sold very quickly for $13. The next thing you're going to see, I actually just mentioned in my last What's Sold video, I'm not going to pick up these vests anymore. However, I picked up 2 more and they sold, so sometimes you can't really listen to yourself on what you're not going to pick up, because then it sells again and it's like, well, you're back to square one again. But this was like a fleece vest from Karen Scott, which is a mature brand from Macy's. This was brand new with tags, sourced from the bins, sold for $14.78. Next, you see this brand called Ark & Company. This is an Anthropologie brand. This was a sequin dress. Really good condition. This sold for $28.90. And yes, Anthropologie brands tend to be a bit saturated right now, but some of them still go okay. So I still keep picking them up anyway. Here's another example. The Akimi and Ken, I've gotten this brand several times at the bins and they sell. I mean, I think the brand tends to be a long tail item, but it will eventually sell. This one sold for $12.50. And for some reason, I put the same one on again. No, there is not 2. There's definitely only one. But yeah, so we just talked about this one. This sold for $12.50. So this was definitely an error on my part on the video. So sorry about that. So the next thing that sold is a vintage, brand new with tags, which you guys know I love my vintage. CC Hughes, I don't even know what brand this is. However, it was the right material, which I always say sometimes it's not the brand, the material will sell. And it was 100% it was mohair blend. It was a button cardigan, and of course it was brand new with tags. This sold for $20. The next thing I got mainly for print, and this brand was called Leggings of the Month Club. This was kind of like a pineapple printed. It looked literally brand new, so I went ahead and picked them up anyway. This ended up selling for not a whole lot, for $12.51, but it's one of those really lightweight things that you find at the bins, and somebody wants pineapples, right? So next thing you see is the brand Exhilaration, which is no longer sold at Target, which I tried not to pick up. However, I really liked the fact it had a Swiss dot look, it had an embroidered flower, and it was brand new with tags. So I went ahead and picked it up for that reason, and it ended up selling for $12. Next thing you see is another item sourced from the Groupon jewelry liquidation box that I got. These were sterling silver, actual diamond stud earrings. These were brand new. These sold for $50. And if you guys haven't checked out, definitely consider checking out the liquidation video I just made of the places that I used to source. And I'll talk a little bit more in that video about this type of stuff with this jewelry and how sometimes it's a pretty good investment. Next thing is a men's Calvin Klein faux leather blazer jacket. Once again, a bigger size, and it was just really cool, modern looking. This was a size 50. This sold for $41.64. Next thing you see is a brand called Berry Lynn. This is actually for like girls or tweens. It's like a little denim crossbody bag with kind of like a guitar strap, adjustable, really cute bag. This sold for $17.73. And I love picking up these crossbodies and accessories and things like this. I mean, they don't always sell for very much. However, they sell. So next thing you see is this Chico's, which I love to pick up, Chico's and Talbot's. Very lightweight linen jacket. Kind of had like an animal print, or I don't know, like abstract print, but it was really lightweight and airy, so I picked this up and it sold for $18. Next thing you see is a vintage Referral, which I think used to be sold at Macy's a long time back. I'm not sure. This was an Angora, which is rabbit fur and lamb's wool blend sweater. Really pretty, vibrant blue color. This sold for $20.18. The next thing you're going to see came from a Macy's liquidation box of a whole bunch of scarves and hats that I got in wraps. The box was super cheap to buy, and they were all brand new and nothing wrong with them. So that was actually a pretty decent find. This particular item sold for $19, and it was just like a blue burnout floral, kind of like a wrap shawl. Next thing you see, this also was sourced from a Target liquidation in the past of nothing but brand new knit hats and gloves. And the Isotoner brand is a good brand to try to sell. You know, this one didn't sell for a whole lot, but it did pretty good at $19.97. The next thing you're going to see is it's not so much the item that's sold, but the brand and just the type of thing, and that is tactical wear. Any type of like tactical, you know, like the camo pants, the cargo pants that are tactical in the title, people are definitely looking for that. This was just a very lightweight belt. Nothing exciting to it actually. It sold for $10.50. However, belts like this are so easy to list. They're so easy to take pictures, and usually the size is already on it. So definitely consider picking that up. This is another example of one of my summer dresses I listed that already sold. This brand is called Z&L Europe, which is an Anthropologie brand. This was showed in a recent haul video as well. This was brand new with tags. As you can see, I was looking for $50 because someone else was selling it for even higher than that. But it sold super fast, same day for $35, and I was not going to leave $35 on the table. So that went to its new home. Next is an Ann Taylor floral blouse. I thought the colors of this blouse were really pretty. Next is an Ann Taylor floral blouse. I thought the colors of this blouse was really pretty. I do pick up Ann Taylor in Loft. It is definitely a bread and butter item, but it is very saturated. But some of the styles actually still do pretty good for me. That sold for $17.51. Next thing you see is this Kate Spade 100% silk scarf, and this was a very long scarf. Very lightweight item found at the bins. This sold for $27. Next thing you see, and I don't know what it is about this particular combination. It's a vintage brand, but the vintage Linda Allard and Ellen Tracy combo tends to go for a lot higher than these two designers by themselves, if that makes any sense. So if you get a sweater that's one name or the other, it doesn't go as high. But when you get the combo, for some reason, they really made some decent stuff. This was an oversized cardigan mohair sweater, really pretty. This ended up selling for $40. Next thing you see, this was just sourced from a Goodwill Blue Box liquidation box that I got about a month or so ago. This was a brand called Mimi Dye, which I guess is a designer. It was a vegan belt, but it had this beautiful giraffe enamel buckle. This sold for $30. Next thing is a little Coach suede wristlet. Didn't even have the hang tag, so it didn't sell for as much. However, it's a very lightweight thing to try to sell and to get at the bins. This sold for $12. And I think the all black leather ones or the very colorful jelly ones tend to do a little bit better, in my opinion, when it comes to the wristlets. Next thing you see is a pair of shoes that, guys, I am not joking. I've had these listed for like 6 years and I could not donate them for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just kept holding on to the idea somebody was going to buy them. And they finally did. Now, they didn't sell for much, but I got great feedback afterward. So this sold for $23.24. And these are just a pair of all leather chukka boots. Next thing you see is this Eddie Bauer 4X 100% lamb's wool embroidered cardigan sweater. I wasn't sure if this was going to do okay or not, but it actually did not too bad for $25.87. And I think the fact that it is plus size and the material is what ended up selling this. Next thing you see is this St. Michael pendant necklace. It has like a projection thing, which is the neatest thing in the world. I guess you hold it up with your phone and it projects onto the wall this beautiful scripture. This was purchased from a Amazon liquidation jewelry box, which has also been very profitable. Check out my liquidation video because I talk about this one as well. This ended up selling for $16.57. The next thing that sold was a total of 17 bras on this particular listing. These were Hanes sports bras, came from a Target liquidation box that was like super cheap. Like I think like $125, and there was probably 300 or 400 of these sports bras. So a whole bunch of these sold to one person, which was awesome. This particular sale was $46.04. Then the same buyer went ahead and bought just one more of the red one, which was the second part of this lot, which was $11.51. And guys, I've had these bras forever too. For whatever reason, nobody wanted to buy them. And then I had one person come in and buy up a whole lot of them. So I am very thankful for that. Still have a lot more though that need to sell. Next thing you see is this, and this one's not even silk. This is poly. However, it had a beautiful print and it was different. And I think that's what helped it. This scarf, this brand's called Schema, which I had never heard of before. This particular scarf sold for $19.86. And guys, I can't tell you enough, definitely pick up your scarves if they're beautiful and they're in great print. You know, have a cool print, especially if they're silk. The vintage ones do really good for me. The last thing on the list of things that sold was this Laundry by Shelly Siegel, which is not a cheap brand. It's another one of those brands that do not do very well on the resale market. This one ended up selling for $65, which was brand new with tags. This went through the global shipping program. So for this particular time period, I had a total of 52 sales. Now, I had a few more sales than that. I probably had another 5 or 6. However, I didn't put them in the video because they're returns, you know, the size, or it was a wool sweater and it was itchy, or, you know, whatever the reason. Nothing that I did wrong in any of those cases, but they're simple returns. And because of that, I didn't figure why put it in the what sold video, because technically I'm about to give the money right back. So there was a few more sales, but of what you just saw, I had a total of 52 for a grand total of $1,186.97. So I'm still down, I think at this point, about 30, close to 40% of what I'm used to making. So sales are still kind of low, but they are definitely picking up to a much more reasonable amount per week. And definitely Poshmark sales are really low for me, but my eBay sales have been, you know, kind of picking up. So I'm pretty thankful for that. Definitely stay tuned for the Poshmark video. I had another 24 things that sold during that time period over there, which definitely helped my bottom line at the end of this period. So definitely check out that video. So if there's anything that I've done different, I would let you know. But honestly, I'm staying pretty consistent with listing 12 to 15 things per day. I'm sending out offers pretty much once an hour, sometimes twice an hour, to try to grab those buyers. And when I do send off those offers on eBay, it's usually for an additional 13%. Sometimes I'll catch a buyer by doing that, and sometimes I'll send out 50 offers and not one bites, you know, and so that's kind of frustrating. But consistently doing that is definitely helping me with my sales. And I would be really curious to know what you guys are doing differently to get your sales. Maybe there's a different strategy you're using that you can share with everyone else. This is definitely a sharing channel, so if there's anything you guys can share to help us out with our sales as a group and as a whole, definitely feel free to share any kind of tricks that you're or tips that you're using to kind of help bring those sales up for everyone. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As said before, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. There's, I think, a lot of good content for beginning as well as seasoned resellers. And if there's ever a question, or if you want to comment on anything that I've shown, like maybe this is an item you would not pick up or something you would suggest definitely pick up, always feel free to share anything you would like to in my videos, or even send me a message if you'd like. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next in the What's Sold on Poshmark. Thanks guys. Bye.